everybody. I'm Scott Swan along with Robb Ellis. We're in the Weather Center here at the Channel 13 studios. Want to give you a live look at Martinsville right now as we are going to be covering this winter storm that is blowing through Indiana right now. So this is a live look at Martinsville. You can see snow is on the ground right now. And I also want to give you a live look at what's happening. This is in Plainfield. You can see the snow trucks are out there beginning to plow what is going to be a very lengthy snowstorm moving through central Indiana. We're going to keep an eye on things here in downtown Indianapolis on this Saturday night. As you can see, visibility not very good right now. But again, we're just in the very beginning stages of what we have been talking about really for several days right now in terms of this big winter storm. And again, we're joining you tonight here on WTHR Plus. Want to let you know we'll have an hour-long newscast coming up on Channel 13 beginning at 6 o'clock. So Rob's been tracking this storm for days. What are we seeing right now, and what are the snow projection totals?
I think overall we're on track.
Yeah.
Everything is on track. I've got a couple of minor things I'm watching that may need some adjustment.
Okay.
In those images we just saw, those traffic cameras, a couple of things. The salt treatment appears to be working a little bit, but the rate has been relatively light. Will that change over time? I think so, and we're starting to see some snow-covered roadways. Again, temperatures are still very cold, and I'll show you temperatures here in just a moment. The radar is covered, and at this point, probably through the next 24 hours, it's going to look exactly like this. It's going to just be a shield of blue. We expect that not to change. When you look at the larger picture, you really get a good idea of what's happening with the system. Now, this is that first weaker wave that we expected to arrive this evening. There hasn't been as much dry air to overcome, which is why most of you are seeing snow at this hour. However, the main event is still developing at this hour. So we're still watching this part of the system come together, and this is what we'll move through tonight and into tomorrow. Current temperatures, it's 10 degrees right now. Feels like temperatures are down below zero for most of you. We are still holding to this 8 to 12 inches of accumulation that we're expecting. Couple of little minor things here. Now, we are watching and monitoring the new data that's coming in. Some of the data is suggesting that a little bit of a northern track could be possible. I still think it puts us within that 8 to 12, but there may be some locations, maybe Bloomington to Columbus, where this 12 plus, we're maybe focusing on the plus by this point if we continue to see this trend happen, especially with the snow falling. And keep this in mind, we're calling for 8 to 12 inches of snow over the course of the entire event. Just look at the snowiest days in Indianapolis since records began back in 1871. This is something to keep in mind. These numbers that you're looking at right here are midnight to midnight. This doesn't take into account if 5 inches of snow fell on one day and then 7 inches of snow fell on the second day. That's not 12 inches, that's 5 and 7. This is from midnight to midnight. Will we fall within this? It is possible, especially since the bulk of the snow is going to happen after midnight. We may pick up a few inches before we get there. Something just to keep in mind, if we get to that point, this could be one of the bigger winter storms that we've ever seen in Indianapolis. It remains to be seen whether or not that will be the case. Temperatures currently in the single digits to maybe 10 or 12 degrees. Feels like temperatures, we're still dealing with numbers that are below zero. Everyone right now is reporting a wind chill that is below zero, and probably what you see is what you get for the foreseeable future. Really all the way through the 7-day forecast. It may jump up as warm as, say, 10 above for wind chill, but it may drop back down to 20 below for wind chill. And I'll show you some numbers here in just a bit. I mentioned the larger system. Let me show you hour by hour what to expect with this, because we do expect that through tonight we could get several inches before midnight. It depends on where you are. Areas to the north, probably on the lower side of that. Maybe as much as 3 or 4 inches to the south, where the snow has been coming down more for a longer duration through about midnight. Roads are likely going to be covered, and blowing and drifting will be a bit of a concern. Now, the winds aren't terribly strong, so this isn't 40-mile-per-hour gusts that are going to cause, 4-foot drifts. But I do think there will be a little bit of drifting on the road, so that when plows go through, we may have a little bit of that snow that goes back over the road. And that's going to continue through the duration. For tonight, several inches of snow. Again, blowing and drifting is a concern. Temperatures will likely hold into the teens. Once we get into tomorrow morning, this is when we expect moderate snow for Sunday morning through about midday. Higher rates, meaning the snow is going to be coming down more heavily. Salt treatment, I think at that point is going to be either ineffective or the rate is going to be higher than the salt treatment can melt it. Slowly warming, this is when travel is going to be extremely dangerous and probably ill-advised really for the entire day tomorrow. It's just going to be tough to get around. Once we get into the afternoon, temperatures may warm a bit. This particular model gets us into the low 20s. I'm holding off on that for now, but that's also accounting that maybe the system is going to trend a little farther to the north. This is by this point into the afternoon, we expect the bulk of the accumulation to be done. I think by that point, we'll be up into the 8 to 10 inch range, maybe with a little bit more continuing into the afternoon. Blowing and drifting is still going to be a concern. Will be slightly warmer, so the consistency of the snow may not be as light and fluffy as the early part of the event. Once we get into the evening, the snow will start to wrap up, actually wrapping up a little bit earlier than maybe our previous forecast, but only by about 4 hours or so. There may be some stray showers even through midnight. And again, blowing and drifting, I think that may be a trend that will continue even into your Monday. Sunday night, the snow ends. Some minor lake effect snow could still be possible with north winds, but the temperatures are going to drop. Watch the numbers here heading into Monday. These are actual air temperatures, likely going down below zero. We'll have a complete pack of snow on the ground, and if the sky is clear, it's not going to take much to drop the temperature. So bitterly cold air returns, and we don't warm up very much as we get into Monday afternoon, staying that way into Tuesday as well. Yet again, if you're just joining us, just want to point this out. 8 to 12 is where we're holding. This map has not changed for us since yesterday morning. We have held to this forecast, and I hope that through our 6 p.m. newscast, I can hold to this forecast. If anything, I may need to adjust just a little bit up, but I'm going to hold off on that until I get another suite of model data coming in. I'm still analyzing that. Because you're watching us here on the stream or on social media, I'll show you this. This is one of our computer models. Don't be too confused by seeing these large projections that are put out over the internet, because what this does not take into account is some of the compaction, some of the dry air eating into the earlier amounts of snow. It doesn't take that into account. This is just what could potentially fall from the sky. A lot of things can happen between then and when you actually get a snowfall measurement. Still, it's in the ballpark, and I think we're pretty good with our forecast being on track. I don't think much is going to need to change. If anything, it's going to be a minor adjustment at this point. Wind chills, I'll put it into motion. Here's your timestamp. Keep an eye on that, but also watch the numbers. They're just not going to change very much. I think between now and at least Tuesday, if not Saturday or Sunday of next week, you're going to see wind chills that are between 10 below and 10 above, with a couple of cold nights, Monday night and Tuesday night, getting down to 20 below for wind chills. And you'll see it here. Watch as the snow shuts down on Sunday evening. Watch these numbers drop. Colder air moves in. If the winds calm down at all, the temperatures will drop in a big way, but the wind chill won't be as much of a concern. So you have to pick your poison there. Would you rather have extremely low wind chills with temperatures not as cold, or extremely cold temperatures with not as much wind chill? Again, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Wind chills stay with us. This is the wind chill through Tuesday morning and probably through the rest of the week. It's a prolonged period of cold. There's the system. I do want to show you a couple things. No major airport delays. These are just minor at the moment at most of the regional airports. DFW has been showing some concerns all day. One thing I do want to point out, we've been watching some of the power outages. I want to show you this. There's state by state, but when you break it down by county, some of these counties here in Louisiana and Texas are already having some concerns. There's a couple of counties here in Louisiana where at least 50% of the county is without power. The ice storm only just begun, and the heaviest has not even arrived just yet. There's the first amount of ice that came through. They're getting a little bit of a break, but watch this. Watch the computer model as it brings more ice in, especially overnight tonight. Look at the amount of heavy ice that's going to be accumulating through the day on Sunday, and then it wraps up. When all is said and done, we could be adding an additional amount of ice to some of these areas of Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi that could be crippling. That will pick back up across the eastern edge of the Blue Ridge Mountains here, Georgia, Carolinas, areas that unfortunately are pretty susceptible to major ice storms. Here's your temperatures locally, though. These are highs, by the way. 16, 10, 19. It's all teens all the way through in a pretty cold spell here Thursday and Friday. The lows don't look much better, but here they are, 4 and 7 below. This is when the snowpack is on the ground. We get some clearing skies. Temperatures are going to be able to drop. And then looking ahead, I don't think we see much in the way of any improvement. 3 below to 2 from Friday to Saturday night. Your 7-day forecast, beyond that, it's going to even be cold, with the eastern half of the country dealing with colder than average temperatures even beyond this. Here's your 7-day. Heavy snow and travel is going to be ill-advised for your Sunday. We know that. Please, please, please be careful. Monday, because of the cold and a little bit of wrap up on the snow on the backside of Sunday, cold temperatures here. Now, it will start out cold on Tuesday, but if there's any bit of good news in this forecast, it's that we should see some sunshine, which will actually move our temperature up to 19. Woohoo, 19. That'll be the warmest day that we have in the entire 7-day forecast. So again, snow is already falling and likely will not stop until sometime mid-evening to late night tomorrow. 8 to 12 is still what we're expecting. We have a newscast coming up at 6 o'clock. It's an hour-long newscast right here on WTHR Plus as well as on WTHR. Then we'll be providing you updates through the Ignite game that is going to be happening at 7 o'clock. We'll likely provide you updates throughout that. And then after the game ends, and join us again at 11 o'clock. Starting overnight tonight and into tomorrow, we'll begin providing you with additional live updates all throughout the snowstorm so that you get through this. Keep it tuned right here. Make sure you stay safe and stay warm, and keep it tuned right here to WTHR.